Why do you smoke marijuana?
It's really very simple. I smoke it because I enjoy it.
Breathe in the air. Don't be afraid to care. Don't leave me.
I've been using cannabis since the age of 13.
I have a spinal cord injury. The cannabis helps as a muscle relaxant for spasticity that comes with spinal cord injuries.
Cannabis really did help me through the reconstruction of my rehabilitation, and that was the muscle construction that it takes to go ahead and, balance a good diet and take in all the right chemicals necessary to do that.
In 1972, Richard Nixon consolidated marijuana enforcement under the federal government and launched what he called the War on Pot. So since 1972, the federal government has been fighting this war and losing.
Worry you that you're breaking the law?
Sure, it worries me. It worries me because I don't want to get caught. I do not want to go to jail for something that I can consider a pleasure and harmless to both society and myself.
Nixon commissioned a study by medical experts.
Well, that's a fair point. As you know, there is a commission that is supposed to make recommendations to me about this subject.
The recommendation of the commission in its first report is that we do not feel that private use or private possession in one's own home should have the stigma of criminalization.
And Nixon freaks out, and this isn't at all what he was hoping for.
I shall continue to oppose efforts to legalize marijuana.
And then he goes on to say, you know who's behind this? It's the blacks, the gays, and the Jews. The blacks, the gays, and the Jews are the ones who want cannabis to be legal.
Cannabis is illegal, it's very hypocritical, it's unfair, it's unjust. Cannabis is safer than alcohol, it doesn't cause the violence, it doesn't cause the overdose deaths.
Danger, the world will run out of Doritos.
It doesn't cause the domestic violence, sexual assault.
I think it's actually dangerous because if you tell people, cannabis is the same as heroin, and then they experience that cannabis didn't harm them, they might then mistakenly think that heroin isn't harmful. So let's just say heroin is harmful. It's not the same as cannabis, even though Nixon thought it was, or said it was. And that kind of governmental propaganda that equates those things can actually cause a great deal of harm. Oakland has had permitted, regulated cannabis dispensaries for 5 years, and none of the fears have come true. The notion that you would have regulated businesses, that you'd have a system of permits, that you'd have a whole system of rules that go along with getting a cannabis dispensary permit, that's the big thing that's changed in the last few years.
Scales, different potency levels.
Amsterdam's combination of the words Oakland and Amsterdam. We're trying to emulate the success Amsterdam has had with its cannabis coffee shops, where tourists come and they create jobs and taxes are paid, and it's part of the regular business, and they've lowered their drug usage. Kids experiment less with cannabis there than they do here, where it's illegal. We have much higher prison rates, and so they have something successful going on there. We want to do it here. In 2007, we thought it would be a good way to promote the idea of the cannabis industry. The saying quality training for the cannabis industry, presupposes that there is a cannabis industry, and it's kind of a different way of looking at it to the way a lot of people I think look at it. And so, but then we ran an ad and all these people called up and wanted to take classes, so we had to actually do it.
And what you want to do is cook it down to where you get a beautiful mixture that looks like this.
We find our professors working in the cannabis industry. Many of the outlets here in the Bay Area have been open for over 10 years now. And so there's a lot of people who have a lot of experience doing this, selling, producing, and distributing cannabis in a safe and responsible manner.
It has to do with bargaining. You don't end up actually in front of the jury. A lot of times it has to do with the relationship with the attorney and the DA and what's happening.
The whole economic downturn has really hit a lot of cities very hard. And so we had these budget discussions in the spring, at which people offered a whole range of different ideas of, where are we going to find money to keep basic public services functioning.
Tax Cannabis 2010, our initiative for the 2010 November California ballot. It would allow adults to possess and cultivate small amounts of cannabis, and the second part, it would give cities and counties the ability to tax and regulate sales and commercial cultivation how they want to.
Well, certainly something passing that would give cities the right to create their own taxation and regulation systems would have the potential to bring in hundreds of millions of dollars to cities in California, which is really crucial in these economic times.
The fact that we have had the medical marijuana dispensaries operating for as long as we have in California now, especially here in the Bay Area and in Amsterdam for over 10 years, we've had cannabis outlets open, and it's shown that, the sky isn't falling, that, dogs aren't sleeping with cats, and, the end of the world isn't near. So, and I think that goes a long way toward going to the next step of taxing and regulating it for all adults, the fact that we've shown that it can work.